Okay, here's point three of the things that happened today. It's, all happened kind of today. Inflation happened today, and getting in the house happened today. So, and figuring out that it was abortion that, you know, cost Harris the election. That happened a couple days ago, but yesterday I like, oh, that's what happened. But I'm making the video today. But yeah, again, they should have listened to what Obama did, not what Hillary did. Um, Going all in on abortion, just yeah, the swing states, there's no way could have won those. Too much Catholic vote, and she, yeah, so yeah, so and the other thing was, the House got moved or stayed Republicans. So, the big thing this year is going to be taxes. And, we can, if you do the fair tax 2.0, which is three taxes, not one, um, and they're all value added, you can abolish the IRS. I mean, really do it, not just shift it over the tax collection to HHS or the the giving the benefits to HHS and having them send a check. Um, so yeah, it doesn't replace one tax agency with another. Uh, so yeah. So anyway, point three, which isn't so kind to the GOP, because there are ways. Actually, Republicans could use this too, because I'm sure a lot of Republicans don't like the fact that there are insurrection cooperators in their midst. But it won't be used because people don't have courage. Anyway, there are ways to object to the seating of those members of Congress who cooperated with the insurrection. Uh, Mr. Jordan's name comes to mind. So Mr. Jefferson's manual is a controlling procedure. If you haven't heard from that, then ask a actual member of Congress. They should know what it is, and if they don't know, then they should ask leadership. The manual provides for objecting to members of the House taking the oath of office. Of course, they didn't do that in 20 in, tw- in 20 in 2023. The Democrats, for whatever reason, lack of courage. It's it's too late to stop an insurrectionist speaker from getting elected because you elect the speaker first. Uh, so if McCarthy knew about what was going to happen that day, and they were willing to bring that forward, he would have still been speaker. Then they could, I guess, the Democrats could have objected, but again, they wanted to score points, political points that didn't do them any good this time either. Um, now we still have a speaker who was rounding up members to join the lawsuits to overturn the election, which didn't work, by the way. But he's still a little tainted, but at least he's done a good job. I mean, he made sure that everything passed, which is phenomenal compared to what the everybody else would have done. Uh, what McCarthy did. So, also at any time, um, members could have submitted names to the ethics committee to investigate their involvement in the events of the day. And by the way, they still can. You can, but they didn't have the courage. The select committee on January 6th insurrection should have submitted the names uh, as the involvement of members was discovered rather than the final report. Uh, and, that includes especially the members of the House who met with President Trump in December 2020, just to see what they really did, uh, rather than just doing a plot to, change the change to make an environmental lawyer, the attorney general. I think they probably discussed more than that, but you'll never know. It was never investigated, but it's enough to, so yeah, they could have also asked the bipartisan ethics committee to add investigating insurrection to the rules of that committee, both regarding members and presidents elect. When the committee would report out such cases, and again, this is a bipartisan committee, so it could change its rules, or they could have passed something to have them change their rules, because Republicans don't like insurrectionists either. 2/3 of the Congress, of the last Congress, was anti-insurrection. You could have gotten, and that's the number of people who actually are doing real work, rather than the Freedom Party, which hasn't passed a thing. Although hopefully they'll pass tax reform. That would be a nice change if they actually did some work. Anyway, so when the committee would report out investigations that the ethics committee would do, instead of requiring a 2/3 majority to remove, you'd have to have to expel a member or to invoke the 20th Amendment. It would take, because you invoke the 20th Amendment to say that the president, if the president elects an insurrectionist, then under 14, then the vice president elect would become acting president, which could be done. When I told Trump's legal team that they should have cited that, they thought, oh yeah, they should cite that, until they realized that meant that Trump could be removed, or that they would have to, that you could say no, let's hold up on this and let the president-elect get both houses to give him permission. It's a 2/3 vote, but it doesn't change who wins. It's still the Republicans who'd win. It's just it would be JD instead, who would so in either case, would the party majority in the House change? In the House, people who are insurrectionists, the special election to replace them, would likely be elect another Republican. They wouldn't. Those districts are not swing districts. You could, if it was, states that were swing districts, would never have reelected an insurrectionist. So those are safe seats. So getting rid of the people who are involved, but keeping them Republican, for Republicans, that should be a double win. And the president-elect, again, would be replaced by the vice president-elect, who would be acting president as well if Trump's mental and physical health continues to decline. If it is, he could have just been putting up an act. I don't think so. It's you might as well start with invoking the 20th, because it doesn't change the electoral count, but it changes who serves. Although if he's given the right staff support, Donald Trump was surrounded with people who wouldn't let him be involved, and he passed tariffs and did all kinds of nasty stuff in foreign policy with Russia to have power. If you let him have power and have him empower people with ideas, such as the ex-Republicans, Lawrence Lindsay, or I think Lawrence is still a Republican and Michael's a Republican, and I used to be, but I'll go back for the right tax reform. It's giving him, letting him do something. If he listens to people rather than goes by his own gut, he would get credit for all of that. and would go from being voted as the worst by historians to, by the end of this term, the best. Because if you fix the economy and also like negotiate something on that's somewhere between, you know, a full abortion access law and a 15-week ban, or a 6-week ban, national law, you know, you do something in the middle of that, like fetal hospice, and with no end date and except viability, and he would be the, you know, if he settled abortion, greatest president ever. If he settled taxes, greatest president ever. If he takes suggestions and you unchain him, you know, he'll do the good things. But as far as stopping insurrectionists from serving, these take courage, especially if by the Democrats, and they didn't show it the last time, especially if they have no electoral benefit, except for regarding, you know, Senator Johnson and other Republican senators with Democratic governors. You know, Ted Cruz would still get put, even if he lost his seat, Governor Abbott would just put in another Republican. So, you know, there'd be no pickup. Again, I don't expect Democratic members to show such leadership without electoral benefit. And, you know, it would be nice if Republicans would have the integrity to, you know, police their own party. Because, you know, they're not going to lose any seats by doing it. And they'll lose some people who are obstructing now anyway. You know, there's a few members of the Freedom Caucus who need to be shown the door so that the Republican majority is an effective majority. You know, God help us if this isn't done as a nation, because, you know, we've got big problems. And the Republican Party has to pass some kind of tax reform and not obstruct it, because if it doesn't, the Trump tax cuts expire at the end of 2025. So they actually have to do something. You know, there actually has to be a Republican vote that's it can be bipartisan, but then it would have to be bipartisan. You'd have to, you know, tax the rich a bit more, which, you know, I put in the plan I talked about in the last video. You know, here's the thing. In 2018, they didn't simply ping pong back to the Bush rates. The 2018 tax cuts mostly were between the Obama rates and the Bush rates. You know, so they kind of met in the middle. Instead of doing 35 and 39, they settled on 37 for the top rate. So, and they didn't cut the 20% capital gains rate at all, and they didn't. You know, they put in a little pass-through rate. They put in little cuts, but very mild. They cut corporate profits taxes, and they put in a pass-through at about the same rate as capital gains with the Obamacare surtax. So, you know, but it's, you know, confusing number of rates too, and, you know, simplify. Yeah, and with asset value added taxes, if you do it at the transaction level, rather than at the end of the accounting year thing, it would be just one rate for all income levels. So we wouldn't be subsidizing failure, and, you know, it would just be simple. People like simple. People with money like simple. Their accountants like complicated, but the vast majority of Republicans want simple. You know, they don't. You know, they don't want Trump's voters don't want to sell their souls to Wall Street. So, you know, maybe we should try listening to them. They gave the GOP the election. Let's do something to make sure what they want is passed. Getting rid of the insurrectionists will start that happening. So ends part 3.